how beneficial do you think was this kind of week to, I guess, get away from basketball for a little bit with exams, and then what do you kind of focus on during this week now that you're back in practice?
Yeah, that's a great question, and all of our plans kind of went out the window with various things. Whether it be the kids preparing for their tests, which we knew in advance, when they were going to be taking them, but then just a couple little colds, illnesses. So in some ways, better to have that happen now than during the stretch where there's a bunch of games. But there were a couple practices that we weren't able to have because of just some minor flu bugs that were going around the team. But again, just a little bit of time away, a little time to process everything. Sometimes when you're so close to it, you can't see everything that you need to. You don't have the proper perspective because you're just in the moment. And so we're able to take a step back a little bit and look forward to today's practice. I know we really, I just think that coaching in general, you can play whack-a-mole. There's always something, and you're just all over the map trying to take care of problems. And if that, I've talked about this before, if that foundation isn't clear, you can chase rabbits all over the place. And I felt like the 2 days that we had before we had a little bit of a flu bug, we were able to go back to those fundamentals of feet. And they weren't a disaster, but we were letting it slide. I was letting it slide because I was looking at some other things and how we need to move space and those types of things. But it all starts with catching and working your feet, and we were able to clean that up. And that's not a 1 day thing or a 2 day thing. That's all the time. So to gain some clarity, I guess that's the process that we're in right now.
About how many practices did you miss? I mean, how many players were kind of in that system, and do you expect them kind of back for Tennessee?
Yeah, we're good. It's fine now. It's just you have 2 days to sit around and think, and so you can imagine with my personality, I've got that practice plan perfect, and a little bit of disruption because of an illness throws you off a little bit, disappoints you, but there is nothing serious, and it was probably fine in the long run that they had a little more rest than what we had anticipated, so we're good.
And my last one, and just with Jessica Carter, obviously a difficult situation. How do you kind of address that as a team and maybe support Jessica when she's kind of going through this kind of thing? And obviously you're kind of new to the situation, but how do you address it?
Well, it was a courageous, powerful post that she made on Instagram and brought to light to everyone how serious mental health is. And I didn't get to know Jessica very well. She was already out of here by the time I got here, or dealing with some stuff, and I can't go into great specifics with it. Now, I was a counselor and basketball coach for 6 years. That's how I started my career in junior college. So that is my background, and I've been very impressed with Mississippi State in their commitment, especially in the athletic department, and that we have 3 sports psychologists that work with our team, that are at our practices, that come to games, constant contact with us, and obviously they have privacy and we have privacy as well. But in terms of the support staff that Mississippi State's committed towards this problem, I've been very impressed with that. It's a tough thing that I don't know if it's gotten worse over the years or we're just dealing with it more, and people are more willing to share the problems that they're having as opposed to hiding them. And I'm just fortunate to be at a place that supports it and in helping and treating it.
Thank you.
John, go ahead.
Well, it's good that you're in a environment like that, Doug. That's got to be pretty beneficial for you and the players. Going back to on the court, though, how do you? I know you mentioned some of the illnesses and other issues that y'all have had recently, but what do you want to kind of see your team work and improve on following that game in Norman, and what's kind of the best way to get the sour taste, that loss, out of your players' mouth?
Well, usually the best way is play another game right away. The worst thing is to sit on it. But it's always next play, and that was a really good team, and we didn't. I didn't think we played extremely smart against them. Sometimes it's fool's gold to hit a couple shots early that maybe aren't great shots, and then you go to that well one too many times. That was 35 threes that we attempted, and that's not something that we've ever talked about doing, or even it was in the game plan. And then sometimes the wheels come off, and again, until these habits are ingrained into all of us, as the pressure increases, as the adversity increases, you always go back to your worst habit. And so in conversion defense, they're a great transition team. They really run. And if we don't have those two back, protecting the rim and picking up the ball, and then we figure out the rest after that, send three to the glass. But if we're not committed to doing that, and that's the first thing we put on the defensive whiteboard before a game. It's usually the first thing that we talk about. And then on the offensive side, the first thing that we talk about are the feet and the eyes at the rim. And that's what allows you to have freedom if you have good balance and you can do things. And if you don't have that, it's almost like being handcuffed. So those are the first two things on each side of the ledger, offense and defense. So our talk the other day was we need to be in alignment with what we say. Like there's a cognitive dissonance. There's a difference. We're not in alignment. We just say those things, and I'm talking to myself. I say those things, but is practice backing it up, or are we setting it up to play whack-a-mole and try to fix everything at once? When you try and do that, it's a disaster. If we can stay intentional about the things we think are important, which those are, then we have a chance at growing. Because again, you have a solid foundation to grow off of. And for some reason, we just took our eyes off the prize a little bit on those things that matter to us, and that will allow us to stay in those types of games and compete a little bit better. So, again, not fun to go through. A very good team, and hats off to them. But it really helped us to maybe get in better alignment so that our words align with our actions. And so that's players and coaches alike.
Robbie, go ahead.
Yeah, Doug, I know whenever we talked to you when you first took over that interim role, you were just trying to get through a practice with the players. I don't know what your expectations were coming into this when you're kind of thrown into that, but where do you feel like this team is at this stage as we're closing in now and starting conference play? Where do you feel like they are right now in comparison to where they were maybe when you had that first practice?
I would say the major difference is there's never been a big resistance. There's never been like horrible attitudes or anything like that. It's just they may have done something just because they were told to do something. And there's a difference between doing something because you know it matters, that you know it counts, that you know that it'll show up in those games. And so just that understanding of somebody, an adult or a coach, telling you to do something and you do it, and you're doing it because they told you, versus we're telling them to do something and they can see the benefits of that immediately or down the road. And again, that's a long process. You have to be consistent with your coaching and teaching. You can't be too emotional or over the top all the time. Obviously you're going to emphasize certain things a little bit harder than others, but I just think it's like mentally we're more on the same page of how the game is supposed to be played for our particular team, if that makes sense.
Stefan, go ahead.
Hey, Doug, kind of along those lines, I mean, does this kind of almost feel like a bye week for you? Have you gotten a chance to kind of reflect on, the past couple months and how crazy and quick everything moved for you guys?
No, actually, no. I mean, once I start moving, I'm either in the moment or moving forward, and haven't thought a lot about all the other stuff that happened beforehand. I'm sure there'll be some time in my life I'll think about it, but like right now it's too immediate and there's not enough time. If there was something that I thought I could gain from it, I probably would, but right now it's just either in the moment or moving forward.
got time for one or two more. If you have a question, go ahead and use the raise your hand function. Andy, go ahead. We'll wrap it up with you.
Yeah, just real quick. How do you kind of feel you guys match up with UT Martin?
It's a tough game. I mean, they went double overtime last year with Louisville. They play a different way. They don't score a lot of points, and they don't let you score a lot of points. Pretty methodical in their approach. So I think they're only shooting 35% from the field, which is not a great number, but the opponents are shooting 35% as well. So they have a specific way on how they want the game to be played, and we're going to have to disrupt them. We're going to have to take away their vision, take away some of the things that they want to do, and then not allow and I hate using this term, the junk defenses, but there are a lot of switching man-to-man, some zone, a little bit of 1-3-1, maybe some triangle and 2. And so in the basketball world, they call that junk defense, but there's a method to their madness, and they're doing a really good job of frustrating teams and getting them to stand and not move the ball or take some ill-advised shots. So considering that's a big theme of ours, not to be one of those teams. In some ways, it's a really good test to play a team like that so that we can keep on moving and not just settle for the first thing that looks halfway decent.